We left off Rav Chisda. Okay, we're at Tzadi Alfam days in Sanhedrin. We're asking Psukim, steers about at the end of time. Rav Chisda Rom Iksiv, V'chofra Lavono Bosha Achamo, Ki Melech Hashem Tzvodos. The moon will be embarrassed, Ubosha Achama in the sun, Ki Melech Hashem Tzvodos. Uchsi Voyeora Lavono Kor Achamo. It says at the end of time, after Mashiach, the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. Orachamo Yeshivosayim Kor Shivas Hayomim. And the light of the sun will be 7 times what it was at the time of the 7 days of creation, during the 7 days of creation. Lokasha Kanmos Mashiach Kan Lolam Abo. Mashiach comes, it's what? It's Chofra Lavono Bosha Achamo. But the ultimate level of light that is going to be 7 times what originally was, that's going to be in the new creation. It's Olam Haba. One second. Mashma shi oram keo. Uchsivoisa ora lavono korachamo. Initially, it seems to be the light is dim. Kalmos Mashiach shigichle hashibud. Voisa ora lavono korachamo. He says, when the Shibud Malchus is going to cease when Mashiach comes, the Ora Lavona will be like the Ora Chamo. However, Losid Lovo, V'chofra Lavono, Bosha Achamo, Mirov Nogom Shel Tzadikim. That's what it's referring to. Meaning they'll pale, as intense as the light may be of the sun and the moon, it's going to pale in terms of the light that the Tzadikim are going to be actually radiating. That's what it means. When Mashiach comes, the sun and moon are going to give off. There's not going to be night any longer, because the light of the moon's going to generate its own light. Because it came, right? It's only a reflection. Mashiach comes, it's no longer be a reflection. It will generate its own light. At the end of time, the new creation, the tzaddik will radiate at a level that even the sun and the moon will pale and be embarrassed because they're considered nothing in the presence of the tzaddikim. That's how he reconciles both psukim. The Ramchal, in the Das Tunas, he speaks about that the neshama has to be suppressed. The neshama something has such a level of intensity, and in terms of its dimension of what it is, it should spiritualize the body immediately. The moment it's infused in the body should become spiritualized. Because it's infused with something, an entity which is so overwhelmingly holy, it should sanctify and purify and overwhelm the body. But if that would be what would happen, there's no bechira. Person would have free choice. So what does Hashem do? He suppresses the neshama, and as a result of that, there's a struggle between the neshama and the body, the physical over the spiritual, and that's why a person has bechira. But ultimately, when a person, let's say, makes the right choices, everything you do is stored away as potential. It's potentially to be magnified. But in the new world, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu would recreate the person, in the new world, it's not a world of Bechira any longer. So that's neshama will overwhelm the body with all the kedusha that the neshama was advanced as a result of the choice in that previous existence. Then the body's going to radiate. Then there's going to be a radiance. That's what we're speaking about over here. That radiance is going to be something which is going to overwhelm the sun and the moon. 7 times the light of the sun and moon. Therefore, it's going to pale, so they're going to be embarrassed to be in the presence of the tzaddikim. That's the understanding. No, it doesn't say the word tzaddik. No, no. You're mixing it up. No. This is... No, That's no. The light we're speaking about here is the radiance of the tzaddikim generate. That light we're speaking about, HaKadosh Baruch Hu recently said, Ye or. That light will be available to the tzaddikim losid level. That's not what we're speaking about over here. This is the light that the tzaddik himself is generating as a result of the mitzvahs that he had done in his lifetime. We're speaking of the radiance of the tzaddikim themselves, what the tzaddikim are radiating here. There is, it's interesting. We find that originally Adam, right, his bechira was at a very minimal level. And that's what level of radiance did he have? That the Malachim, they confused his radiance with Hashem's radiance. And they started to say Shira to him, right? That's Chazal say. They confused, that was the level. After the Eitz Hadas, he was minimized. He was no longer. Because then what happened to his body? His body then became like, it was like a lead tomb. The neshama was entombed in something which it couldn't affect it. Because the body itself already had the impurity, the Rav, the Eitz Hadas. What does a person have to die? What does a person have to die? Because the whole idea of eternity is that when the body, the neshama perfects the body is now eternal. But what about there's an evil element in it? Evil cannot be part of eternity. Correct? Because when he ate the Eitz Hadas, it's tov v'ra. The fruit, the nature of the fruit was good and evil. Evil cannot be changed. Evil is evil. If a person is deficient, you could advance your level that you're no longer deficient. So that was before he ate of the Eitz Hadas. So what was the test? Not to eat. If he would have succeeded not to eat, he would have advanced. He would have perfected it. At its full capacity, it would have been something which was beyond what he was. But what else he introduces? Ra. That Ra you can't get out of the body. You can't extract it from the body. So the only way that Ra could leave the body is the person has to die. And when he dies, he decomposes in the ground. And when there's going to be ultimately resurrection, Chiyas HaMeisim, what's going to be resurrected? Only the pure matter, the pure material that he was created with, not the Ra that was brought into the body as a result of the Eitz Hadas. That's how the Ramchal explains it. The whole idea why the person has to die, and ultimately what's going to happen at Chiyas HaMeisim. So therefore, even the radiance even more, it can't radiate because you have that evil within the body, as pure as the neshama may be. You can't affect evil. Evil is evil. So therefore, the only way you could how do you expunge and extract evil from the person? He has to die. And that's why there's decomposition. The Gemara is going to say later that a moment before Chiyas HaMeisim, even people who didn't decompose in the grave, everything goes back to dust. The greatest tzaddikim. Why? Because every human being it descends from Adam. So even though the person didn't suffer in the grave, because that just shows the level of purity, that the maggots weren't able to eat the person. Moshe Rabbeinu, even the grave, he's like a living human being, right? Everything. But the last moment, he's going to go back to dust and then be resurrected. Because he still has that element of Ra, of Adam Rishon in him. Because he still descends from Adam Rishon. So that he has to die. I mean, he has to be turned to dust because that new entity has to come into being without the Ra from that original, from the Chet. You follow me? No. Now you have dust. It's all dust. Now, resurrection only has relevance to pure matter. Has no relevance to Ra. The Ra is not part of the resurrection. You understand? The purity, the pure material, the pure matter. Not the neshama. The neshama is something else. We're talking about the physicality of the body. The physicality has the Ra. The neshama doesn't have Ra in it. When he ingested the Ra, a person's addicted, has an addiction. Addiction is a soul, or is it? It's something in his chemistry, which is physical. It's his body. Right? The Ra affects. We speak about sinning. Sinning has to do with the physicality. You're drawn to it. That will not be resurrected. Because it's all part of what is a person has a genetic defect. A person has epilepsy in the family. It's passed down. This is worse than epilepsy. This evil exists within every person. The reason why a person is drawn to sin is because of this Ra, which every human being possesses. Back to the same story that we spoke later. No, he said it exactly. He has a problem with it. It is. It's your problem. Again, when you struggle with something, what you struggle? Is it only an intellectual struggle, or it's a soul struggle, or it's a physical struggle? It's both. It's a combination. What are you made of? You're made of your soul and body, right? You have to get up 4 in the morning to get here. So when you have to struggle to get out of bed and you have to push yourself, is your body involved in that decision? Okay, so if your body's involved, so how do we let the body just decompose and only reward the soul? The body deserves reward too. The body is a partner in every decision you make. It's a separate issue. That's something else. That's something else. Despite the rod, you've made the right decision. But now we're talking about something that's going to be eternal. Eternal. Ra cannot be eternal. Right? And the soul has to affect the body to advance it, to expand it. You can't affect Ra. Ra has to be destroyed. The only way you're able to remove it and extract from the person, he has to decompose. This resurrection, this is resurrection. At the end of 6,000 years, everything will come to an end. Yeah, Mashiach will be here. Mashiach is here. Okay. Yes. The Gemara says, yes. We got rid of some of it, not all of it. You know, it's interesting. Two things happened at the time of the Eitz Hadas. It was, they both ate of the Eitz Hadas, right? And also it says, Bo Nochash al Chavita Bozuma. He raped her. The Nochash infused in her a spiritual impurity. What happened at Sinai was that impurity of the Nochash was vaporized. But the Rav, the Eitz Hadas, that remained. Eitz Hadas remained. What? No, he ate it. He ingested it. Because it's good and evil. The evil became part of the human being. No. At Sinai, everything was vaporized. Both. But with the Chet Egel, the only thing that came back was the Ra, but not the Zuama. Because the Gemara explains that the reason why a Goy has no relevance, the Bechir is very difficult for a non-Jew, and you only find a few, which are Chasidum Sa'olam, of course, by the Jew no longer has the Zuama. So therefore, a Jew has a natural sense of spirituality, which the Goy does not have. Because the Goy still has that impurity of the snake besides the Eitz Hadas. The Jew only has the evil of the Eitz Hadas. We don't have the impurity of the snake any longer. Because even after Chet Egel, we only reverted back to one part, not the other.
Why is the Goy studying Torah, even if the essential neshama is different, and it's not the right medicine anyway for the, why is there a prohibition against it? In other words, it's not going to.
It's morosha. It's morosha. It's morosha. It's like committing adultery. It's exclusive for the Jew, not for the Goy. That's why the Goy is not permitted to keep Shabbos.
But it wouldn't affect them anyway.
No. It will destroy them. It's like learning Torah Shlo Lishma. Yeah, but it destroys them. It destroys their spirituality. You understand? It's like a person takes something, and it's like a person commits adultery. It's equivalent of committing adultery. It actually destroys your spirituality because it has no relevance. You're not compatible with it. Somebody else's wife, a person is not compatible with that woman. Therefore, it destroys his spirituality. The neshama of the Goy is not compatible with Torah. Therefore, it just consumes and destroys the neshama of the Goy. So the Gemara says. The Gemara says that every ger, his neshama was at Sinai. He was exposed, and he was meant to ultimately convert. Okay? Of course, he has to meet the criteria of what a ger is. But there's a question, how do you become that? If your neshama is one level, how do you become a Jew? How do you have a Jewish soul if initially your soul wasn't Jewish? So the Ramchal speaks about that also. The Ramchal in Das Tuna speaks, he says it's like grafting something onto a tree. Meaning, it's like because if he follows the prescription of the Torah, how to become a ger, then you become subsumed, you become part of the Jewish system. That's why a ger is not a shevet. Kal ger mean a ger, right? They have no independent identity. They become because they're attaching themselves to the Jewish people. So they're part of the system. They're not in, see, every Jew has an identity unto himself. The ger is subsumed. It's like when you graft a branch onto a tree. The branch itself loses its identity as that initially was something else. it becomes part of the tree. He uses that same moshel. The ger becomes part of the eitz, which is called Kal Yisrael. That's something else. He has to meet certain criteria. He has to come for the right reasons, and he has to do the Kabbalah mitzvahs. Okay, that's separate. So that was his neshama. That was his neshama. That's a semblance. That's a semblance of that light that's going to ultimately be. No, it says, no, the shadim. The Gemara says. The demons. The 130 years he separated from his wife, that's when the demons came about. Came from his semen. When he separated from Chaf for 130 years after the Eitz Hadas. So during those years, he had certain nocturnal emissions, and from those emissions, Gemara and Ervin, that's where the demons came from. Yeah, demons are living entities. They're human beings, but they're living beings. There's male, female, there's everything. The Gemara speaks about a male demon, and the Ramchal speaks what exactly demons are. The demon has to eat and drink. I mean, it has to be sustained. They procreate, demons, everything. I mean, it's a level of physicality, but they're ethereal. You can't see them. No, the vampire. That's where they took all the whole idea. If you take David's next program in Sipurno, it says there's a law: a Jew's not permitted to eat blood, and it's reiterated. It's mentioned many times about eating blood, and also a Jew is not permitted to be involved in witchcraft, right? Sorcery. So over there he says, whenever it says L'sochel Adam, that all rituals of sorcery have to do with blood. Why? Because because the sustenance of the demon is dam, is blood. Because blood is a life source, has life in it. That's what so the whole idea, that's where they got the vampires from. They took it off the demons. Because a shade needs dam, has to have blood. Because blood is the life source of every living creature. And so therefore it says, so by providing blood within the ritual, you endear yourself to the demon. Therefore the demon, because of its level, is aware of certain things that are going to take place in the future. You could actually commission its services to harm other people. Because if you provide for it, it will do your bidding. A demon could cause tremendous destruction. And that's what Kishuv is. That's the sorcery.
What about using the bone where they put the bone?
That's not Kishuv. It's not. It's called Ovidoni.
Yeah, Ovidoni.
But it's not. It's a separate lav. It's a separate lav.
It's separate, but it's using a separate system.
You're doing the same thing, but it's coming differently. Ovidoni is you're drawing the soul into the amount. That's what they call what they call the seances. You bring the dead back to existence. There you're communicating with the soul that once lived. So, Kishuv, sorceries, you're dealing with demons.